The characters of this poem are not out of my or someone else's mind. They are somewhat moistened earth and somewhat dampened showers. Or maybe it's all untrue. It's all cooked up and is just one of its kind. But then, probably, the only truth has been the endless longing of ours. It had been a long, long time. I could not meet you, I don't know for how many springs and falls. And then, one day, one night, I found you in a crowded lane just outside those swanky, glitzy malls. I caught a glimpse of yours. Where have you been? Where have you been so long? Were you lost in a crowd? Or maybe you were with someone else? Are you? Really? Yeah, he must be very proud. But I still am a lonely jack for sure. How were you? You asked me. Is it you who asked me that? Is it really you? Did I hear it right? I laugh at myself. I laugh for myself, for after all these years, after all my sleepless nights, for me, this is all you had. But why do you ask this? How are you? Do you really want to know my plight? Well, I don't have words to express it. But I hear these days that sometimes you do write. If you have words for me, write them down on a pad. Let's not discuss all these in this line. Instead, may I ask you something now? Trust me, I have never been so shameless, but time has done this to me somehow. So I ask, don't you really remember anything at all? Don't you remember your sketches I made? Don't you remember the poems of mine? Was it all evanescent, volatile, like a cup of spirit poured in a glass of wine? Was it all waste? Was it all for a heartless, feelingless doll? You used to preserve my poems in your cell, but the cell itself, with the number, has been changed. But the number was never informed to me, because as I now understand, I was already estranged. Life, look how it really plays. You may not, but I remember how we kept late nights, and I dodged past the guards of my mess. We talked whole nights and still had more. So morning next, you used to send me an SMS. Will you ever again remember those days? You have forgotten everything, right? You have forgotten the memories, their scent and the hue. Because otherwise, how could you utter such cold and casual "how are you"? And that too after all these years. We still live across the lane, just opposite to each other, and still look at this irony. After all these years, ultimately you got a little time to say simple hi to me. Did you really want to see me in tears? However, all that I ranted till now, I wanted to tell you as well. But suddenly, I got a lump in my throat. So I struggled for words, stifled with pain, and then here is all that I could float. As casually as possible I replied, I am doing fine. Deep inside me an evening fell, a river froze for an out-of-turn cold, and a heaving sigh checked its flow. Will you ever realize that when you were having your golden days, though you never cared to know, I had lost all that I had as mine. I had lost it all that I had as mine.